AL Central Rundown. I am Eric, and with me today is.
I'm Lee.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Dan.
And we've crossed the All-Star break, and it's been depressing for everyone involved on this screen right now. Let's just talk about the standing, shall we? Let's talk about the blah that has happened. The Tigers, no surprise, still up 11 games. They're on a 6-game losing streak. They're mortal. Oh, what's that? Their postseason percentage is still 99.7. Okay, whatever. The Guardians have lost one. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Still 3 games under 500.
Ooh.
The Minnesota Twins are 5-5, but have lost 2 games and may be swept by basically the literal worst team in baseball history, Colorado Rockies. Super fun for that. The Royals have been walked off and had a late inning lead loss yesterday, and then the White Sox have won 2 in a row. Good for them. Playoff odds, not pretty for anyone, but hey, just for fun, let's look at the wild card. The Guardians, 4.5 games back. The Twins, 5 games back. And the Royals, 5.5 games back. The White Sox, 18.5 games back. It's only been 2 games since the All-Star break. Not the starts I think anyone wanted.
No.
Who would like to go? Who has their thoughts first? Lee?
I'll kick
Yeah.
things off real quick,
Sam
and
has it.
I think I think this will be pretty brief. The Royals have had two pretty tough losses to the Marlins on Saturday and Friday. Granted, now they are up 7-0 in the top of the eighth inning, so they won't get swept. Knock on wood. Um, Salvador Perez just hit a home run off the top of the wall, 369-foot wall scraper. So pretty good. At least they're going to win tonight. But I think the biggest thing for me at this point is if you come out of the All-Star break and you're hot, and the Royals, and I'm guessing most of the teams have about 10 games before the
Yep.
trade deadline. You go 9-1 in those 10 games, sure, be aggressive. I don't think the Royals are going to go 9-1 from what I've seen from them the past two
Yeah.
games. They might go 7-3 or 6-4 or something along those lines. But I think that it's time to not raise the white flag completely, but let's kind of set things up for next season. And they've had two kind of bad, I don't want to say heartbreaking, but kind of two games you had a chance in. They got walked off in the 10th inning when they entered the bottom of the 10th inning up by 2 runs on Friday, and then lost 3-1 when they were up 1-0 for most of the game. Or no, they weren't up for most of the game, but they tied it late and they were able to make something out of nothing, but then obviously spoiled it late. So um, it's it's difficult because yes, the Marlins are one of the worst teams in the league, but also to that point, the Marlins had won like what was it, 6 in a row or something like that.
They're on a good
They were
minute.
on a bit of a hot, yeah, they were on a bit of a hot streak. So it's tough to say, it's over completely. But I think the fat lady is starting to warm up,
Yep.
and it's gonna be pretty close to being over in the next couple games. So
Oh,
as
oh,
much as I would love to see them go on a run, I don't know if that is going to be what happens this year. And these last two games have been not not too good as far as making a run is
I,
concerned.
I'll piggyback off that because I was looking at the Twin schedule, and if you looked at post All Star break, they had starting off with the Rockies. They've lost both games against them, so you're thinking, hey, that's actually That's a good streak. They then play the Dodgers next. Then they have the Nationals, who are, they're not great. And then they have Boston, who has been playing really well over the last month. To get to 500, even with these last two games, they have to play 7-2. And I think that brings them one game over 500. You have to play the Dodgers. So unless you're probably gonna have to sweep one of the next three series in order for that to be a possibility, and you're gonna not have to lose any of them in order for that to be a thing. So I don't. It's hard to see that happening. The Twins have also won their last three series before this one. So like, I don't know. It's weird. This team has been weird all season, but I think this it's hard to it's easy to overreact over one series against a truly god awful team, but boy, does that make that just seems like it just kills any hope that they had. But they still have 9 games after today. They're playing now. It's 0-0 in the third.
Yeah.
On the flip side of
And
things,
the Rockies have not been as horrendous in the last, couple weeks.
Yeah, they
So
started off like truly horrific, but then they were just bad after that.
I think they're
They
still
have
on
a
pace
chance.
to be the.
They are, but they at least have a chance to not be.
Yeah, their pace over the last like 30 or whatever would say that they finished above the White Sox last
Well, I
year.
changed my mind. The Twins are now going to win the World Series.
You know what? I think I'll second that with the Royals. I think the Royals will
Okay.
not be winning the World Series this season.
Go ahead, Dan.
On the flip side of things, you guys were talking about, the Twins' schedule, etc. You'll never guess who actually has the easiest strength of schedule the remainder of the season. It's the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
Who are coming out of the All-Star break having won 6 out of 7. Now, also, you could say they came out of the break winning 6 out of the last 17 because they've lost 10 straight. So you got a little bit of duality going on there. But easiest strength of schedule the remainder of the way. And hopefully, up at least 5-1 at last check today against the Athletics. Planning to win that series if they can win today. Those things kind of combine, and it's just that weird in between where I look at the Guardians and I see they've played better in the last 2 weeks or what have you.
Yep.
And that's good. But I look at things like their overall record, their strength of their run differential, and the way they played against good teams, and I go, this is still like a 75 to 80 win team. So,
Yep.
The desire to be an optimist combined with the desire to be realistic are very much competing with one another at this point in time.
Yeah.
Which is why I think we're going to get into buy or sell at the deadline here in a minute, but I think they're going to have to find some sort of middle ground, which is something they've had to do in the past.
Yeah, I think what's weird is like because the Twins, Royals, and Guardians I think are on the exact same path. They're slight buyers. It just depends on either slight buyers or you can make a case for. I mean, do you sell off significant parts for the hopes of 2027? And then there's the Tigers, who, if you look at their Reddit, apparently the sky is falling. They're about to contract the team, and we need to just turn off the channel.
Yeah, it's been rough. I mean, 6 in a row isn't good, right? But also because the All-Star break happened, it feels so much longer. Like it's been 12 days since we last won a game, right? Which sucks. And then it's also like, okay, 5 of those days there weren't games happening. So it's a six game losing streak, but it feels like it's been going on for so much longer because of the All-Star break there. And let me tell you what the problem has been. It's been pitching, it's been pitching, it's been bullpen pitching, and it's been bullpen pitching. It's been, I think I saw, I don't know if it's true because I didn't fact check it, but apparently the Seattle series, we gave up the most runs in a 3-game series in Comerica history, which I don't disbelieve because we lost those games like 12-4, 15-7, which is the one that I went to, and then 8-4. So They were rough games. Let's put it that way. Lots of runs given up because apparently our pitching couldn't figure it out. And then the last two games, yesterday we lost 4-0, 4-1. My bad, because we did score a run. And the game before that lost 2-0. And Canley gave up the 2 runs in the first game. And his last 3 outings, let me pull this up for you real quick because it's been truly horrendous. Tommy Canley, his last 5 games. Last outing, 1 inning pitched, 2 earned runs. Outing before that, 0 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. Before that, 0 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. So, yeah.
Yeah, that hurts.
That's bad. His ERA since entering July has ballooned to 4.85. It was like 1.8 entering July. Yeah.
Not stellar.
No, and it's a little concerning because he was fantastic for us the first 3 months, and now he sucks, I guess. His changeup isn't getting any movement.
I was about to say, do you know, like, we'd have to look at Savant or whatever, but, like, is he just giving up more hard hits? Has he been nickel and dime to death? Like, do you know what type of hits is he giving up?
Some of it he was getting BABIP'd to death, but also, he throws his changeup 85% of the time. He's walking a lot more. His changeup isn't moving. It's just not getting the kind of movement that we were seeing 2 months ago. So, I don't know how concerned we should be over him long term for, the rest of the season. Is this just, is he injured? Is this, a weird 3 weeks we're going through right now? But that's concerning because he can't throw strikes. And when he does throw strikes, they're middle, 85 changeups. And those are going to get hammered.
I'm going to guess a month from now, he's going to talk about how he had dead arm in July and everything's going to be fine. But I don't know.
So we'll see.
It's weird to me because Detroit bullpen last year down the stretch was stellar. I mean, that carried you guys, Scooble and bullpen chaos, all that good stuff. Canley wasn't part of that. So I'm assuming that all of the pieces that you had last year are still there. And maybe a couple guys are in and out or what have you, but you would think that bullpen would still be strong. My point is, Hinch is continuing to go to Canley in the 8th or whatever it is. And maybe he shouldn't be. Is there other resources he could be using instead?
That's the thing too. We went to him in the 8th in the game 2 days ago, which was a Friday, and we could have gone with Will Vest for 2 innings. We could have gone with, but a lot of the guys have gotten hit really hard lately. Holton's been getting better lately, but he got hit pretty hard against Seattle. Everyone got hit against Seattle. If you look at all of these ERAs, they just got inflated by the Seattle series pretty much. Because there was no one who came out of that unscathed.
Looking at it, just looking at the stat line, Herder's giving up nearly 4 walks per 9. Canley's 3.9. His Canley, I thought he was more of a strikeout pitcher than the 7 per 9. Is that not the case?
He's been more of a bad contact guy this year.
Their FIP, Canley's gone off the rails, but Holton, you're right, his FIP doesn't look great. Canley's doesn't look great. Everyone else seems fine. Vest is great. It could just be a rough stretch.
I think it's rough stretch. Chase Lee is one that I point out because he had a stretch of 11 outings where he only gave up 2 earned runs. But then against Seattle, he gave up 5 runs in 3 innings or whatever. So
I'll say this. Sorry to cut you off, but Eric, that was a good call. Canley's K per 9 for his career is 10.6. It's 3 full strikeouts per 9 more than he's got right now. His FIP for this year is 468. So you could make the argument that he was actually just lucky in the first half.
That's another point. Was he just lucky? So I don't know. So it's a little concerning. Herder has been really good for us, but he got hit pretty bad a few times against the Mariners and also against the Nationals. Dylan Smith has been up and down for in terms of going between Toledo and here. But Brisky, I guess he's injured now in Toledo because he's been in Toledo for a little while. It's been a little rough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so it's hard to balance how much of last year was they were overperforming and how much of what we're seeing right now is they're doing really bad, having this a really bad stretch. So we just gotta wait for things to like find their level.
right. Well, one sec. Let's just pull up the the playoff odds. So I look, their methodology for Baseball Reference is they simulate the season 1,000 times from basically every day. So then they take it from this season, the rest of this season to the rest of the year. And I think it's the team's actual last 100 games performance. The Tigers, the best that their methodology has them is going 162 for a record. Their worst, 88 and 74. So they're
That's,
going to be fine.
that's better than everybody else's best.
Yes, and
Oh,
it's
geez.
not even close. Yeah. So
Yeah, so
everyone in
long term we'll be fine in terms of like we're gonna make the playoffs, we're gonna win the division. It's just a matter of how much do we need to be worried about our bullpen on a scale of to So also you have
Can
to
I ask?
remember Tigers fans have a lot of bullpen related trauma in the playoffs.
sure.
So yeah, we're very scared about that.
The thing that kept them from World Series is I could see how that would be a hot button issue.
Yeah, like we did not win a World Series in like 2010 to 2014 period because we did not have a bullpen. So
Well,
yeah.
all right.
Can I
Well,
take the temperature of
yeah.
Eric and Dan real quick? And I'm not saying this to like be mean or jinx anything, but I would like to know what would your guys' feeling on a Tigers World Series win be?
Great.
Would you be rooting for the Tigers? Would you want them to lose? Like what if the Tigers were in the World Series against X NL team?
I'm for it because I think they're going to be viewed as underdogs regardless of who they play.
Probably.
I have mixed emotions about the premise. I view Detroit as one of the historical key rivals of Cleveland
Sure.
for a number of reasons. We've gone over it. The Michigan thing is a thing. It's just we've been good at similar times in the last 20 years to a point. At the same time, there's a lot of AL Central slander out there, and I like the fact that we have a really good team in our division this year, and I'd like to see them kick some tail. So I'd feel a little bit of both ways about it. How's that for a cop out answer?
I I would be in favor. I
Yeah.
if the Tigers were in the World Series, I would be very much rooting for them because of the AL Central connection and just because it's been a while.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was looking. It was in the '80s. The Tigers, Royals, and
84.
Twins each won a World Series.
Hmm.
And nobody, well, the Royals won one, but like, so it's 84. So the Tigers have the second longest, sorry, Cleveland, World Series drought in the division. So let it, let it happen. And also, like, keep in mind last year, after the Twins were eliminated, I had no reason to keep watching. This show kind of makes me interested in just to keep watching. So that would be the reason I would do it.
For the record, Dan, last season I was rooting for Cleveland to get swept by the Yankees, but if you had gotten past the Yankees, I would have rooted for Cleveland to win the World Series. That's where
Why?
I
Why would you root for the Yankees? Like that's
my
that's
form
even
of
worse.
therapy after losing the
I take
playoffs
it
is
back.
watching the team that beat us get smashed. So that's
But it's the Yankees. I
yeah,
take everything back. Let them burn.
Yeah.
I was really torn on it, but I just
Doesn't sound
wanted
like you were.
I just
You said
before
swept. Like
before we lost that series to Cleveland, I would have been like, yeah, go Cleveland, beat the Yankees. But after we lost that series, I was like,
you were in
I
your
don't like
feelings.
them right now. Yes, exactly. I was just very upset about that series, so I wanted Cleveland to get their teeth knocked in just a little bit. But then
So
if you'd gotten past the Yankees, I would have been like, go Cleveland, show the world what the AL Central has.
sure.
Easy to say now.
Yep.
But at that moment, I just wanted the Cleveland to hurt a little bit. So
Well, you
yeah,
got your
because
wish.
the last 50 years have not been hard enough.
50.
Oh, right, 1960, what was it 61?
70, no, 80. 48 is when they last won the World Series.
Oh, that's right.
77 years ago.
it was just a look. It was just a little
Gotten
personal.
really
right
close
at that moment,
twice.
so.
Like really, really close.
Well, Lee, your feelings are valid. However, we look at you very differently now.
Well,
I
it
will
was just-
say
it was
the
just a little
only
personal.
reason I would root against the Tigers is if they make the World Series and they're playing the Cubs, because the Cubs are my NL team.
Oh,
Mm.
but
That's
they're
My
like,
sister lives there.
it'd be the, no, actually, no, tigers and cubs are not the same species. I take it back. I was about to say, but
Well,
that's
the
like the
cats.
big cat versus the little, no, that's not it at all. I'm an idiot. So, anyway, we had the All-Star game. We're going to talk about buyers and sellers, and I think it's pretty clear where three of us think our teams are going to be. And then we're going to talk about the draft later, but the All-Star game did happen. It was kind of exciting. Not that I watched any of the All-Star game, but any thoughts on the All-Star game? Who had fun watching it? Those who watched it?
I didn't have fun watching it. It was kind of rough for Tigers fans. I think we lost the All-Star break somehow. It was a little rough. I mean, because they mic'd up, okay, for the first inning, so Scooble started. They
rough.
mic'd up both him and Cal Raleigh, which is a neat idea. But then I forget who the broadcasters are, but they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna be a fly on the wall," and then they just kept yapping the entire time, and they kept going, "Oh, we're on the mics, Kyle. You could just tell Tarek what pitch you want right now," and it's like, dude, he's 2 feet away from the batter. You really want to?
Right.
It was just dumb.
I actually do have some thought. That was very awkward, which is really weird because the very next half inning, they did it with Kershaw, and that was great. It was like,
That was
they
fun. I
played
did see the
really
clip
well
of that.
together. And
I think
so
between
that was fantastic. But between first of all, Raleigh and Scooble have never probably been a battery before together. Like
no,
they also, like you were saying, you don't want to have the catcher saying what pitch is coming when he's standing 2 feet from the hitter. Like that was poor execution. But
Yeah.
Mike and the pitcher, Kershaw, was fascinating. You know, it was very brief, but it was fun. So it's just
Yeah.
that comparison of the two one after the other was interesting.
I think they also got 2 F-bombs and a shit out of Scooble while
Yeah.
he was mic'd up, which is very funny. I don't know what they expected. Because so last season they mic'd up Scooble during his All-Star inning also, and that time he was like, "You guys are really loud. Can you like not?" And he basically ignored them the entire time. It was really funny. But this time they had both him and Kyle mic'd up, and they kept trying to like make conversation between the two of them, and it was really weird.
I
Like
wouldn't let that
the idea,
Scooble again if I
awful.
was a Fox executive. I'd find somebody else.
Well, did I see the All-Star still had like 7 million viewers, which is the highest rated All-Star game of the 4, which is, I don't know, kind of like being the skinniest kid at fat camp, but
But they didn't
Yeah.
count the 4 nations for NHL, which has way more viewers than all of the other 3 combined. So because NHL doesn't have an All-Star game anymore, it has
oh,
So it's
I
a
didn't
little
even know that.
it's a little bit of an asterisk because they don't have an All-Star game, but they had the 4 nations, which basically replaced the All-Star game, and that was like way better than all the other, actual All-Star games. So
Yeah.
Alternatively,
Well-
let's see if the World Baseball Classic out ratings is that next year. There you go.
See,
Is that what
I
you're gonna
really
say?
The
like-
World
Sorry.
Baseball Classic should be next year, shouldn't it?
It is. It's next spring.
I really like the World Baseball Classic.
I love it.
I think it's really fun.
I do too.
I'm definitely
I
gonna
do
be
too.
watching it this year. I didn't watch it
I
the
wish-
last time around.
I wish they could get the pitchers to participate more, and I get why they
Yeah.
don't, but that's the
Yeah.
one flaw in it. But
Like I
it's-
know Keen's
As
gonna
As a
be in it.
replacement for spring training, it's pretty good.
I would
if
be
we-
really surprised if School pitched in the World Baseball Classic because it's gonna be a contract year for him. Like why
should.
would he
He
risk
should.
that?
Mm.
Because
I
it's
would like he should, but I would just be really surprised
You-
if
Dude,
his
imagine
agent-
Scooble, Skeens.
that would be
Like,
awesome.
you need one more guy. I
Joe
can't.
Ryan?
Who would be your third? Joe
Oh.
Ryan? Sure. Let's do it.
but
The-
I
I
don't
would-
know. Go ahead.
Riley
I'll
Green.
go.
Riley Green
I
might
think he was
play.
saying, "Go ahead to me, Lee."
Oh, sorry. I couldn't tell. My bad. Go ahead.
All right, I'll just share my stat real quick. So I was watching the All-Star game. Bubic came in. I was at the Thirsty Turtle here in Columbia, Missouri, and
It's a hipster
I was
bar
very
name if I've ever
excited.
heard one.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I was very excited to see Bubic come in. Unfortunately, he gave up a 3-run home run and was saved from taking the L in that game by some of the AL Central heroics that
Yeah.
happened later in the game. But I was thinking about this and I thought to myself, I can't remember the last time that a Royal gave up a run in the All-Star game because from the time that I've been watching baseball, and I don't think I've ever seen, I can't remember a Royal giving up a run in the All-Star game. And the reason I can't remember that is because it would be impossible for me to remember that because the last time a Kansas City Royals pitcher gave up a run in the All-Star game was 1997.
Kevin
And
Napier.
say it with me, Eric, I was not yet born.
Oh God.
Wow.
So
That's actually really impressive.
in 1997, Jose Rosado, who is someone I've never heard of before, but was apparently a 2-time All-Star
Hmm.
with the Royals, gave up a run in the All-Star game. And since then, here's some names from the past. Rosado again in 99, Joaquim Soria in
Yeah.
2008, Zach Greinke in 2009, Greg Holland twice, Wade Davis, Kelvin Herrera, Jason Vargas, Cole Reagans, and Seth Lugo
Hmm.
had a streak of scoreless appearances in the All-Star game by Kansas City Royals pitchers.
Huh.
Yeah.
So that was something that has not happened in my lifetime. Uh, so that was uh, uh, very surprising trend that was
You said
done
that
away
was
with.
you said that was 97.
97. So I was born in September of 97.
Do you know what one of my first? This is off the track, so I'll probably delete this if we need to. One of my first baseball memories. It was '98. My favorite player was Mark McGuire. For that, whatever. It's in the middle of that season. The
Hmm.
Cardinals were playing the Twins in the Metrodome, and it was like July or something like that. And we're sitting in left field, and McGuire hits a home run that hits about 30 rows to our left and then bounces up and it lands up in front. Like the ball hit a McGuire home run ball during the 98 season, lands in the seat in front of me. And there's like I didn't get the ball, but it was like 5 or 6 guys and me, like all I touched it. I touched a Mark McGuire home run ball during the
Oh
98
wow.
season, and I feel cool. But like, yeah, the guy in front of me ended up getting it, and like he was like showing it off to people. Like some people would like walk up the aisle and like, hey, can I just hold it? And like he did, and some guy offered him like $500 for the ball or something like that. And my sister goes like, for $500, I would have been wrestling for that, or I would have sold it or something like that. And I looked at her, and I looked at her as like, for if I would have gotten that ball, I would have sold you before that ball. And then she cried, and I got in trouble. Uh,
Uh, when I was in middle school, and this is also off the tracks and a way less impressive story.
I don't know if
When
mine's
I was
impressive.
in when I was in middle school, I went to a game with my dad, and we were just walking up to the gate to buy a ticket, and some guys came up to us, and they were like, "Hey, do you need tickets to the game?" And my dad was like, "Oh no, we're just gonna get tickets up here." And the guy goes, "Oh, we have tickets to the Diamond Club," which is like down, right behind home plate. And my dad was like, "Okay, let me take a look at these tickets real quick." And they sold us 2 tickets to the Diamond Club for $20. total, 2 tickets that had an $80 face value. And we sat in the Diamond Club, and Slugger shot off his T-shirt cannon, and the T-shirt landed like 2 rows behind me. And as a child in middle school, I like booked it to get to this T-shirt, and I was able to pick it up, and I still have it. And that was legitimately one of the best days of my life. Was going to that game and sitting right behind home plate with my dad. So
I'm
Nice.
That's
just
awesome.
glad you weren't behind a post or something. That's where that would be
Yeah.
my concern with seats like that.
Not that anybody cares about this, but I looked up the Maguire game. Twins lost 7-2. There were 35,000 in the Metrodome. It would have been Maguire's 36th home run off of Mike Tromley in the seventh. But anyway, that's it. I'm not a liar, everyone, whoever wanted to do on that. But anyway, I don't know why anyone would care to look that up. I just wanted to because I felt nostalgic.
Why not?
I was at the game where Miggy hit his 300th home run.
Hey, that's awesome. Hey, that's
Yeah. I told my dad, like, I remember we were at the game where Miggy hit his 300th home run. He's like, no, we weren't. I don't believe that. And then, like, 3 months later, I saw that he shared the memory on Facebook, and I'm like, you bastard. Come on. You weren't going
Right.
to tell me that I was right. You're just going to silently share that memory on Facebook. But, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, nice.
yeah, that's not a bad shirt there.
Yeah.
The little Slugger Royal shirt.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the name of your mascot, Slugger?
Slugger. Yep.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought it was like Leo or something for some reason.
Nope.
Well, it's better than
Slugger with 3 R's. It's roaring. It's Slugger. So yeah.
it's better than TC Bear. But anyway, hey, that's how exciting the All-Star game was. We talked about other memories, everything other.
I do want to acknowledge the thing I acknowledged when we were getting set up, and that's, Sam mentioned Bubic. There was a point in time in this game. First, the AL Central actually played a huge role in this game in
Yeah.
general. All 6 runs that were allowed by the American League were allowed by an American League Central pitcher. Um, who was it? It was 2 by Skubal, 3 by Bubic, and 1 by Casey Mize. But then the AL Central giveth, but they also taketh away, or vice versa. I don't know what the saying is, but they basically generated the rally at the end of the game that tied it. So between Buxton, Kwan, etc. Witt, thank you. How could I forget Bobby Witt? So, like I said, just played a major role in a pretty good game, I'd say. I don't know how everybody feels about a swing off and all that, but
It was
The
fun.
swing off had a better format than the actual home run derby. That's what I say.
Well,
I also saw a tweet that said, like, after watching Aaron Boone manage the All-Star game, I get why Yankee fans are always so cranky. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
so
The swing off was galling to me in
really,
so many ways because Boone's decision. Sorry.
okay. This is okay.
So you go up there. All right. You have to select 3 players. I understand why you don't pick the big dumper or Judge, right? Because they're out of the game. They've already taken a shower, right? That's fine. Bobby Witt Jr. is still in the game. He was in the home run derby last year. Buxton is still in the game. He was in the home run derby the day before.
Yep.
Brent Rooker, fine. That's a perfectly fine selection.
Well, he
But
was
then you
also
go up
okay.
there and you go, yeah, I want a Rosarena and a Rhonda. It's
I
like,
think Aranda is really the big
That's the
issue
big one.
there.
That's the
Yeah.
only players on that roster that would have been worse than Aranda are Zach McKinstry and Stephen Kwan. Like, I think those are
Alternatively,
like too obvious of a throw. Like, what are we doing?
I'm probably the only person in the world that wants to see this, but I think it would be hilarious if you had to have the lowest home run total guys on the All-Star team do the swing off.
oh,
Ooh,
that's
that
an
would be
idea.
fun.
That's an idea. I Bobby Witt Jr. for his part had a great quote where Ann Rodgers asked him if he was asked to be in the swing off, and he goes, "I wasn't asked. I would have liked to be in it."
Oh,
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I don't get why he didn't use Bobby Witt there. I can understand the argument for not using Buxton because he's made of paper bones and glass skin. But like, why don't you like Bobby Witt was right there.
Great SpongeBob reference.
so not to go off of Dan's idea with the lowest home runs. So we have a home run derby. You know, like in golf, if you play in some leagues, you have closest to the pin. What if instead of
Oh.
instead of the walk off, you have a bunt off, and you have to get it as close to
Ooh.
third base fair as possible?
There you go.
Gosh.
They have a bunt derby in Japan.
Do they really? That's awesome.
Legitimately the most. They have like a target on like the third base line. It is legitimately the most exciting thing I've ever seen.
That is awesome.
That's pretty fun. I got to look that up.
Jason Benetti for I don't know how long has been advocating for a triples derby. Like just like he's like every time like Zach McKinstry hits the derby, he's like, we need a triples derby because I want to see Zach McKinstry hit triples. That would be I also like the idea of just a good piece of hitting derby. I don't know how you would score that, but Stephen Kwan would probably win every single year.
Well, it'd have to be an opposite field, stiff line drive, double. Is that
or
what it is?
Where you just hit hard hit liners right in the gap. What are you gonna? Yeah.
Here's one change I would like to see to the MLB All-Star Game, and I think this is something I've said for a while, and I also think this is a somewhat realistic thing they could do. The stats, whatever you do in the All-Star Game, those stats count toward your season.
I like that.
So if you hit a home run in the All-Star Game, that's a home run for your season career stats. I think that would make the guys play that much harder in the game.
I'm fine with that until somebody somehow goes off the Barry Bonds home run record and they're gonna put a huge asterisk next to the had a home run in the All-Star game. I don't know, that's fine. It's a weak.
There used to be
the same. It's the same as if they got rid of game 163.
Sure.
It's the same as playing 163rd game.
He used to play 154.
Right.
Maris played 162. Ruth played 154.
Yeah.
I think I'm indifferent on that. I don't care if it goes either way.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I mean, it's kind of isn't the NBA just came up with a heave rule where if you shoot past 36 feet in the last 3 seconds of a quarter, it now doesn't count against your stats unless it goes in. Fine. But
I think it'd be hilarious if the NBA did that with their stats. It's because you guys score like 55 points.
Right.
Multiple guys score 55 points in the All-Star game.
Well, they did. The All-Star game this last year was 3-on-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't even a traditional 5-on-5 game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'd be a little bit. I kick myself if I didn't talk about. I have to talk about Byron Buxton because again, it's the only positive thing the Twins have going right now. So the week he had, I don't think we recorded, but 3 days before the All-Star game, he gets hit in the hand with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. He's then out the next day. He then has his bobblehead day that Saturday, so like 2 days later. And he hits for the cycle, which is really fun. And he basically had everything but the home run in the third inning because they were killing the Pirates. And then he had 2 at-bats where he then hit a single and then went dead center to complete the cycle against the Pirates. And that was really fun, considering everyone was wondering if his hand was broken, 2 days before that. He then goes into the home run derby, and he's fine. He hit 20 home runs. He got to the second home round where he then hit 7 home runs. But what was cool about it is the only reason he was in the home run derby was, one, he's from Georgia. He grew up like 4 hours away from Atlanta. but his son plays MLB The Show, specifically the Home Run Derby. And he said, like, Dad, if they ask you, you have to do it because I want to bring you a towel and a Gatorade. And he was able to do that. His dad was able to, be in the Home Run Derby. Brixton was able to bring out a towel and a Gatorade for his dad, which is all he wanted to do. And then, like, the other Blaze, the other Buxton child, is also there. So that was just kind of fun to watch. So it was just like kind of like a heartwarming, like, we don't know if Buxton's going to be healthy next week. So it was kind of fun to see like the whole parade of talent with the cycle, the home run derby. He gets the double in the All-Star game. It was just really, and then he hits a home run and game back from the All-Star game. So he's a fun player. I like him a lot.
I'm glad to see Buxton
Yeah.
as a healthy player at any time. So,
and what might have been missed, and this can be actually our segue, is somebody in Atlanta was like, "So how you feeling about this year?" Or like they were trying to shy away around like, "You're in trade talks, like you're in trade rumors. How do you feel about that?" And he looked at him dead in the face and goes, "I have no trade clause. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a Twin for life. I'm not going." Like he was almost like, and
That's awesome.
You can see the video. He was almost like, "Why the F are you talking to me about this? Like I'm not going anywhere," type thing. Which, hey, can that change tomorrow? Maybe.
Sounds like something that someone who wants to go somewhere would say.
Yeah, that's right. You can always turn that around, right? But no, it was the best answer you could ask a player to make. But yeah, so it was, and it seemed like he meant it. So that's fun. So for everyone in Minnesota who's given Byron a lot of crap, he grew up in Georgia and loves Minnesota. What else are you going to ask him? But we'll see.
Might be the only person to grow up in Georgia and then live in Minnesota and love Minnesota.
Well, the Twins stole the 91 World Series away from Atlanta. They can take the center fielder too. Anyway, the All-Star, the trade deadline is coming in fast. I think 9 games, 3 series after today. The Twins are up 4-1. What's the score for you guys' games here? Kansas City's probably winning.
The Royals are up 7-4. They brought in Andrew Hoffman, and he has proceeded to give up 4 runs, and they just brought in Estevez to get the final out. So,
yeah. Dan, what's Cleveland? Are they playing yet?
The Guardians have defeated the Athletics 8-2.
Yeah, all right.
Big win series as planned.
Lee, have they played yet?
No, they played tonight. They're on Sunday Night Baseball.
Again?
Yeah.
Jeez, hogging all the TV time.
We're also on Sunday Night Baseball against the Phillies in a few weeks.
Oh,
yeah.
Well. Anyway, so trade deadline.
The final season of Sunday Night Baseball, the Tigers are featured heavily.
So I thought we would just take some time to talk about who, if teams are going to be seller, who's going to be a buyer. I think we have one clear buyer and everyone else in the same boat. But why don't we start off with Cleveland? And I do have a little graphic. So I'm going to show these. These are baseball reference stat head searches. All these mean is these players are either impending free agents or what I deem to be tough calls on player options or arbitration. So if you're a somewhat expensive second-year arbitration that you might get declined, I put you on here. There's going to be one surprising name that I think is a very low chance of getting traded, not in Cleveland, that I want everyone to calm down. That was the method. Anyway, Cleveland, the players that are either impending free agents or are, I believe, will get cut for arbitration: Carlos Santana, Austin Hedges, Lane Thomas, Paul Sewald, Junis, and then a well-forgotten about Tristan McKenzie. Dan, how far off am I on any of these guys getting traded or anyone that I may have missed?
No, I think you're pretty close. I think the action that I anticipate from Cleveland here is to be soft sellers. And what that means is any vets, Santana is probably the prominent one here. But really, Carlos Santana, Lane Thomas, Jacob Junis, or Paul Sewald, those 4 in particular, I think you could see get offloaded. I will say I don't know that any of them have all that much value to begin with. I think
Yeah.
you're looking at a single A prospect of moderate intrigue for any of these guys.
No.
I don't like the term lottery ticket, which has become very kind of popular in online baseball discourse. So I'm going to refrain from using that. But similar to that type of thing, I think you're going to just try to get an additional player in your organization, see if they can make
Yeah.
something out of themselves for any of these individuals. Um, so those four individuals, I think Santana is probably the most likely to be dealt successfully. And I think Thomas would have been if all context was the same and he was healthy, but he's just, as we've covered in this podcast multiple times, he's just been snake bit with injuries all year. Seawald, same deal. He just hasn't been healthy. And then Junis, after a hot start, hasn't been super effective. I do think maybe a team would be interested in him just because he's got some versatility to him. He can pitch multiple innings. So I'd say Junis and Santana are probably the most likely to actually get dealt and yield some sort of return. Um, the individuals that aren't on here that are getting a lot of buzz locally, for better or for worse, are Emmanuel Clase and Stephen Kwan.
Mm.
Neither of which I think are ultimately likely to be traded, but you can make the argument for because they're getting closer to free agency. Clase's deal is actually much longer, but I've spoken about this a little bit already. If you're a team, as I suspect the Guardians are, that's going to win 75 to 80 games, do you really need a ninth inning closer that much? The counter argument to that is, well, you think you could compete in 2026. So, yeah, you do. But I do think there is some argument there that if you could get the right price back for Class A, you would consider it. This year's been very, very similar to 2023 for the Guardians, where they're just kind of a little bit below 500, but because of the nature of the playoff arrangement now, they're technically in it. That year, they traded Aaron Savali from a position of strength in
Yep.
starting pitching at the time for Kyle Manzardo. Well, I can squint my eyes and see the Guardians this year trading from a pitching of strength in their bullpen, Emmanuel Clase, for something. The one I did a little bit of messing around online. I don't know if either team would do this. You guys can check me on this if you want to. I don't know how much you guys are up on prospects to begin with. But if the Guardians could trade Emmanuel Clase to the Tampa Bay Rays for their number one prospect, Carson Williams, who is a shortstop prospect in AAA, a guy that plays a position of need in short and is near major league ready, that is the type of thing that I think they could consider. Um, but it would have to be that like position of need, close to the majors, um, at minimum. So uh, that would be the one kind of shocker that could happen. But again, I
Yeah.
think it's more likely that both those guys are on the team in
My
2026.
my only push, I agree with like the methodology. I think the team to give up a promising prospect for a reliever, the team I would bet least likely to do that would be the Rays.
Yeah, I think
But
that's
like,
fair.
but you could do that. I think you can get a top, 5 prospect from X farm system for
And
Class
I
A.
looked at in doing that exercise, I looked at some of the other teams that need bullpen help: the Yankees, Philly.
Yep.
Um, there's another one I'm forgetting. Forgive me. But that the one that kind of fit the bill was Tampa. So I think you're potentially right that that doesn't fit their strategy as an organization, though.
Yeah.
Never
But I
You
mean,
traded.
know, I
It just never
to me, if
works
I'm the
out.
Dodgers, I would go after Class A. What do I have
Yeah,
to lose? I mean, that seems like that would be more willing because their farm system's weird. Like they don't the Dodgers don't really care about just like basic everyday starters. They don't need everyday starter prospects. They need elite talent starters, and they trade away everyone else, which is
mhm.
fine. It's clearly working for them, but I don't know.
How much
you
longer does
know,
Clase have on his deal? Remind me. Is it
Ooh,
2
I
years?
brought this up actually.
Um,
It is. So I
I think
have it
it's
up here.
27. Is it
He
27 or
has
28?
So next year he has 6.5 million, and then it's team options for 10 million in 2027 and 2028.
Yeah,
So he
Okay.
has 4 years,
he's
but
on a
like,
fantastic deal, which hey,
yes.
that makes him even more appealing to other teams. But at the same time, being in the market the Guardians are in, he's also appealing to them as well.
So
Um,
the name, I don't think they're going to do it. But Bieber does have a player option for 2026. I know he hasn't started, he hasn't pitched, but anyone who is like, maybe this would be like a last minute, last hour deadline deal, who has whiffed on all the other starters, might be looking at Shane Bieber as a buy low candidate. Let's see if we can get him.
Possibly. And one of my news items today was going to be that he did have a rehab start on Tuesday that went well. But I don't know. I get it because guys that um, are oft injured still are in high demand as starting pitchers. See Alex Cobb. Um, so
Yeah.
they could get some intrigue from him, but they're definitely not going to be able to maximize his trade value.
Right.
That's for certain.
I don't think it's likely. Like
Yeah.
I really don't. I was interested that you brought up Quan. So Quan has 2 years of team control after this year. So this would be kind of. I feel like that's like the Guardians'
This
sweet
is the
spot.
start of the trade window for him, I think. And I don't think it happens because I think, like I said, I think this team can compete in 2026. So why would you do that at this point in time? I
Yeah,
think they've
I
they've
would
shown.
be
Sorry, go ahead, Lee.
I would be a little bit surprised if they traded Class A this year. I would be extremely surprised if they traded Stephen Kwan this year. I think that would be stupid.
Yeah. I think, like I said, with Class A, if they could trade from a position of surplus like bullpen, that's
Yeah.
the rationale there. And again, I think it's more likely they don't. But with Quan, this is the start of the trade window for him. But I think it's more likely that they just roll him back out in 2026 because we're trying to win the AL
Yeah.
Central in 2026.
You know what I'm seeing
Um,
here is Trevor Stephan actually has a very similar deal, only he's cheaper and older. So like I feel like Stephan might be
he
like,
hasn't
or is he
he
injured?
hasn't been able to get off the IL from his Tommy John. He had surgery before Bieber did, and he's been
Mm-hmm.
rehabbing, but it hasn't gone well. Like I
Oh,
think he
okay.
had an outing recently where he gave up 5 runs and didn't get an out.
Scratch
So
that.
yeah, it's just not
And
going
then
well there.
I feel like Tristan McKenzie is likely to be traded, or he's going to get cut. But he's going to be like and give us Tristan. Like he'll be like the last second thought of whatever.
I'm
That's
don't
who the
I
Rays
didn't
call about.
I didn't specifically look, but I'm pretty sure he's been hanging out at the complex in Arizona. When I say
Oh,
hanging out, I mean that not as a pejorative. I mean
right,
he was playing in the complex. Like
right,
that's where he's been trying to refine the issues he was having. So I don't think there's going to be any interest there.
right, and that's fair. Um, okay. Next, let me pull that back. Okay, let's go over here. Um,
Sorry to go off the board there, but I did want to address Class A and Quan because
no, that's because
that's
that's
the hot button item here in Cleveland is, oh, those guys are going to get dealt. The Dolans are cheap, blah, blah, blah. No, they're going to try to compete in 26. But I
I.
think there is some strategic thinking to potentially trade in Class A.
I think Class A. I think if you had to give a percentage of it, 40%.
Not even
Okay.
15.
Oh, really? I
They're
would
going to
go
have
higher.
stock knocked off, I think.
I think I'm. I've maybe like granted I haven't thought about this a lot, but other than Santana, I don't know if they're going to be able to trade anyone other
That's
than
fair.
like reliever prospect.
I do think Junis could also go. Like I said, I think somebody will want him, even if it's just another guy to eat innings down the stretch. But
So
those two guys are probably the most likely.
I would be looking to trade Classic. Not looking for, but I'd be very open to trading him. Like if I got the right offer. I don't. Maybe I'm being naive here, but Stephen Kwan seems like the type of person who will take a Jose Ramirez style deal. No,
I
not
don't
doing
think
it.
so. I
Really?
think he's gonna want his fair market value. I'm not saying he's greedy or anything like that, but he
Right.
is going to want. And I also think if an extension was going to happen, it would have happened by now. That's just
Okay.
my opinion.
Interesting. Be interesting offseason then. Yeah. Anyway. Next up, Kansas City. So this is where the surprise name comes back. So everyone, this was just the method. So I understand we see Salvador Perez on here. I don't believe he has a $13 million team option. I would be shocked if that A doesn't get picked up or declined and then rework our deal reworked. I don't see Salvador Perez playing anywhere other than Kansas City. But Sam, maybe you disagree with that.
No. I think Salvador Perez is going to stick around. I think that he is going to um, be a Kansas City Royal for life. I think that would be really important to him. I think that is something that would be very valuable toward his Hall of Fame case,
Yep.
staying with one team for his entire career. I would imagine that his deal is going to get reworked at some point in the future. I feel similar to Salvi as I do to Patrick Mahomes, where it's a situation that his deal's going to get squeezed and massaged and moved around so that you can make other things happen. So I do think Salvi's going to stick around, and one of the reasons why I think that is because Salvi needs 30 more home runs to be the all-time Royals leader in home runs with the home run he hit today. If he gets another 10 this year, I think he's perfectly on pace to do that. I think he's gonna stick around. I think the biggest movers at the trade deadline for the Royals are going to be Seth Lugo and Jonathan India. And I think when we look at what the Royals are going to do this trade deadline, and when we put it on the sort of binary of buying or selling, I think it's would technically be considered buying, but I think it's buying for next year. So it's
Sure.
going to be buying players who can be on the team next season.
It's a retool, not a
Um,
rebuild.
a retool, not a rebuild. And I think the biggest thing with the Royals is they have the pieces in place. They have the lead actors in place.
Yeah.
So when you look at the movie poster, right, for the Kansas City Royals, you've got, Bobby Witt Jr., Cole Reagans, those are the names on the poster, right? Those are the lead actors.
Yep.
And then you've got, the sort of secondary parts, Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Garcia, Carlos Estevez. You've got the director, Matt Quatrero, right? You've got all those pieces in place, right? Um, but then when it comes to the supporting actors, the sort of bit parts, there's not a lot. There's
Yeah.
not a lot there. Um, so you need to get some of those type of guys on the team. Um, and so I think here's the thing: Seth Lugo has been great for the Royals. He has been a tremendous signing. He's got a player option for next season, and it's a player option for $15 million. Seth Lugo is going to make more than $15 million on the free agent market
Yeah.
next season. With as again, he finished second in the Cy Young last season. He is going to probably be, I don't know, somewhere in Cy Young voting, probably top 10
Sure.
this season. Not as good as he was last year, but that the season he had last year, that is going to make him a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he's going to make well more than $15 million a season on the open market. So unless the Royals are prepared to offer him a mega deal for 3 years or whatever, I think he's going to be declining that option, and he's going to be going elsewhere
Well,
during the free agent offseason
I'm also
this year.
thinking with Lugo, he was the guinea pig of turning a reliever back into a starter. He's
Oh yeah, oh
35.
yeah,
There's no so to me the fallback plan, even if he just sucks as a starter, he's 35. He's probably going to get it to maybe a 3-year deal. You could like to me that would be as far as signing 35-year-old pitchers go. I'd be comfortable doing that at $15 million. So then that's what, a $30 million, maybe a 3 or 45 million. But I don't hate it.
And I would also say, especially with him being the age that he is, letting him go early is better than letting him go late.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of miles on those tires.
Yes.
And so I think him being as good as he is and where he is, I would not be surprised. Um, I think it's very likely that he's going to get dealt at the All-Star break. Um, and then I think number two would be Jonathan India. Jonathan India has disappointed
Yep.
in a half season with the Royals. He's been, you know, okay, but the Royals wanted more out of him, and that's why we gave away Brady Singer for him. And he's a lot more of a hired gun, and I think it would be a lot easier to cut ties with someone who's only been here half a year and has not produced that much. And I can very easily see another team going, Jonathan India, change of scenery, veteran player, he can help us make a run down the stretch. So I think if the Royals do end up selling either one of those two players, it's going to be for a player who is either at the major league level or who will be ready to be
Yeah.
at the major league
Well,
level next year.
and not to like signal us, and maybe so like we're kind of jumping around here. So the Royals did make a trade, a relative,
They
I
did,
say
yeah.
like a fringe roster move, and you could almost take that as like a signal, as like they have
Mhm.
the replacement for India. Maybe not so much. Do you want to talk about Adam Frazier now?
It was an interesting move, and I'm not I don't I have mixed feelings on this. So they traded away Cam Devaney.
Yep.
Devaney was a minor leaguer who was killing it in AAA. They brought him up to the major league level. They did not play him at all. He was with the team for maybe a handful of games, maybe 5 or 6 games. He was tremendous in AAA. However, he's a 28-year-old rookie.
Right.
And did they just bring him up so they could trade him? Probably.
Right.
Not have to make a roster move, most likely. But he was not, you know, someone who I think the Royals saw as a future piece. You bring in Adam Frazier, who was with the Royals last year, who's, I mean, he's a veteran. He's someone, you know. He's a guy who you can bring in off the bench. He's a utility guy. He has a lot of versatility. I mean, it's a bag of balls for a bag of balls.
Right.
You know, it's a 28-year-old quad A player for a veteran whose best days are in the rearview mirror.
Yep.
So I think that's a sign that they want to shore things up, maybe for the future, but also in case they make a run, quote unquote. But the Adam Frazier move is kind of, it's like, it's not much.
Right.
And and Frazier had played for the Royals last year, if I'm not mistaken. So there
Frazier
is a
was
little
with
bit
the
of like
Royals
the devil.
last year. Yes, he
You knew
was.
what you were getting,
He,
basically. So there's a little bit of a comfort thing there. Where okay, we'll bring him
yeah.
back. He could play second when needed. You know.
He's a setting the floor type move, I feel.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like also it's
And the
interesting
Royals
with Devney.
bench has been awful this year.
Yeah. Like with
So,
Devney, he's a with a reliever. I know he's 28-year-old rookie, but like does age matter for relievers? You're only looking for 3 years out of them anyway. Do
He's
like
he's he's a position player.
oh, is he? Never mind then. I take it back.
He's like a shortstop.
Never mind, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any other
28-year-old shortstop rookie. That's not like
this
yeah.
is fair.
no.
Okay, that's expendable. That's fair.
Yeah, that's expendable. That's the dictionary. You open up a dictionary.
He's
That's
right there.
expendable right there. So
Using the movie analogy, Expendable 6 starring Cam Devaney.
Hmm.
So I've got a question. I've seen this floated around on the interwebs a bit. It wasn't mentioned here. Carlos Estevez. What do you think his odds of being traded here are? Because I've seen that floated around a lot. I don't know how much of that is. You know.
I could see him. I could see him being traded as well. I think the Royals would probably prefer to hold on to him, just because they have him for next season.
Yep.
He has
And
been
possibly for
leading the league
2027.
for 2027. He's been
13
leading the
million.
leagues in saves this year, the AL. He has been, he's had some ups and downs. He has been kind of, not like the greatest shutdown closer of all time,
Sure.
but he's pretty good, and he was just an all-star
I was
this
like,
year.
he
So
was their an all-star for them. The
yeah,
two
his
5 days.
value is never going to be higher.
Yeah.
So I could see him being traded as well. That wouldn't blow me away. But I think at this point the Royals would probably prefer to hold on to him.
Because you want to compete for next year, right?
Yeah, yeah. And especially with having him under contract for next year, I think they would probably rather hold
Yeah.
on.
And I mean, he's 32 now. They for 2027 they have a $13 million team option. That's likely not
Hmm.
going to get picked up, but who knows? $2 million buyout, but we'll see. All right. Oh God, do I have to talk about them? Oh frick. Okay. Well, the Twins. They have,
Oh, frick.
they, they have so many. All right, these are the impending free agents. Let's buckle up, everyone. Impending free agents or guys that might probably won't be offered arbitration. Harrison Bader's had a really nice season. I think he's not the most likely on this list to get traded, but pretty close. You can make a coin flip between Willie Castro and Harrison Bader. I don't expect either of them to be on the team on August 1st. Jose Miranda, he's in AAA right now, doing horribly. I think he's just done with the Twins. I mean, if he makes the majors again, it'll be because he wasn't traded away this year and they need somebody to fill in first base. Ty France, the minor league signing, is playing like a replacement level player. He and Cody Clemens are essentially in a timeshare at first place for a platoon. Julien is playing slightly better in AAA, but not much better. I have more faith in him bouncing back than Jose Miranda, but granted, I've never been a Jose Miranda believer. And then there's two pitchers. Danny Colomb, who will likely also get traded, is having a really nice season. Every team needs a lefty. He's been a really good lefty this year. He has been death to everyone left-handed and just has shut down so many fires. I'd have to look at what his win probability added is, but I think he has stranded 70 something percent of inherited runners, and I think that's typically closer to 40% as league average, but I got to double check that. And then the oft talked about Chris Paddock. I don't know if he will be traded. If he does, if Paddock gets traded, I think it'll be because it's one of two options. You are a contending team who needs to stretch out your rotation till the X number of years. But what I would be interested in is Paddock, when he came back from Tommy John surgery in 2023, they actually put him in the bullpen. And he was throwing 98 with a good slider, and he has a good changeup. He looked pretty good. Now, that was 2 years ago. He still throws 95, so which makes me think 98 is probably still doable in the bullpen. If he's going to have future major league success, I don't see it as a starter past a fourth or fifth type guy. Talked about him numerous times. I really don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But as a reliever, there might be a new path there. Whether he would choose to go in the bullpen, I don't know. But that would be, if I was a contending team and I've kind of missed on, the Estevez if he gets traded, or we're about to talk about two Twins relievers here in a bit, or like a Class A, I might be looking at a Chris Paddock as let's see what he can do in the bullpen for 2 months for, a single A reliever. So these are the impending guys, the fringe guys that I think someone on this list, multiple guys on this list is going to get traded. This next slide I'm going to show are players with 2 years of team control. I think I might have added one more that I might have 3. But if this team wants to really sell and they want to just, whatever, this core isn't working, let's see what we can do. Oh, Griffin Jacks, Brock Stewart, Joan Duran, Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez, Bailey Ober. That is, yes, 3/5 of their starting rotation and their closer, 8th inning guy, and their 7th inning guy. Brock Stewart has been a probably underrated bullpen arm. He's been off injured. He's been pretty healthy this year. Throws 98. Looked pretty good. Has a lot of swing and miss. Griffin Jackson, Joan Duran. One of those guys will be traded. I am convinced of it a week out from the trade deadline. Because I think that they have 2 years left to team control. I don't think the Twins, if the Twins are going to take a risk on anything, it's going to be in bullpen arms. And if they get a good package for either one of those, I think they will. I think they'll take it. The other 3, I don't think it's likely they get traded. But they all have 2 more years of team control. But if you sell on a Joe Ryan, Lopez, or Ober, that is really signaling you do not believe this team will be competitive for at least 2 years. If you don't believe this team is going to be competitive for 2 years, go ahead and trade these guys. But that would be, unless you just get an absolute haul, like a cannot miss deal. The Tigers call over about Joe Ryan and say, "Hey, here's Max Clark." Okay, let's do that. But what's the ability to do that? Have I not been showing the screen at all? Good for me. So yeah, Joe Ryan was their all-star. Pablo Lopez is injured, but he's coming back, and that Ober is on the injured list right now. He's looked really bad. Had something to do with his hip, but yeah.
I will say
For meme purposes, I really hope that Duran gets traded to the Red Sox
Sure.
so
Yeah.
that they can have
Duran.
Duran on the Red Sox.
I will say, having spoken to you, Eric, both on and off this podcast about kind of the fate of the Twins, I have kind of talked myself into the Twins are in a position where they should be looking to tear this down and rebuild. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion. I would, if I were the GM of the Twins, and there's probably a good reason I'm not, but 4 of those 6 guys would not be on the team on August 1st.
Sure.
Like we're getting as much value as we can right now because you can get good deal. If they've got 2 years of control, most of these guys, you're going to get for starting pitching, you're going to get a haul.
I was about
And
to say
that's gonna warp speed your rebuild potentially. So
well, and
I think it's a very interesting deadline for you guys.
I think I agree. It's interesting. I want one out of above all else. I want a direction you think this goddamn franchise is going. Because
Pick a lane.
doing nothing for a 3rd straight year, I'm gonna throw up. Like that is so much worse than selling all 6 of those guys on that last slide.
And I know I
Yeah.
specifically alluded to the starters, but Jackson and Duran are all thought of in the league. I feel like so you can get something for both of them too.
I think all right, any of these guys, take a pick of these guys are nothing. They're not on the team next year. Jose Miranda is probably washed. He'll be a throw-in like buy low going out, and he might get.
Jose Miranda is going to play for the Nippon Ham Fighters next year.
Yeah,
that's what he's
I think that's probably right. I was about to say, I wouldn't be surprised. August 1st, you actually see the transaction. Jose Miranda released to like negotiate contract with that exact transaction.
Yeah.
I think you're dead on there. Willie Castro has been really good since the Tigers picked him up on a minor league deal. About as well as you can expect a minor league signing to go. He was an all-star for them last year. He has a 793 OPS right now. That's and he plays 6 different positions. Someone is going to call about him. Are you going to get a double A player? Maybe not. You might get a decent single A player, but then like Harrison Bader, he's playing fine. He's actually just hit a home run today. He's been really good. I'd be open to the Twins extending him, but what are they going to do with? He's going to be playing left field because Buxton's in center. he only cost them $5.5 million or $6.5 million. What are the Twins going to do with him? So he'll be traded. Danny Colome will be traded. And then if anybody's going to take Ty France, please, I don't know. Like he's such a nothing position at this point. Like he doesn't hurt the team, he doesn't help the team. But yes, and then so you have anyone on that screen. And then it's Duran and Jax. One or both I can see being moved. The starting pitching, I think it's going to take a blow me away offer, which I'm fine. If you give me that offer, I'll do it. Why not? But I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I think at this point of the three other teams besides the that are here, I'd say Kansas City is most likely to be able to not barely sell and come out next year competitive. I think Cleveland can really go either way because it's kind of really hard because it's a lot of underperforming / they overperformed last year, so it's like figure out what those guys are doing. But the Twins, I feel like, are the team that's best equipped to tear it all down and start an actual rebuilding process.
So, and I'll also push back. I hate the idea of rebuilds. I think it's nothing more than an ownership being able to tell you they can just have a dirt cheap team for the next 5 years and then not reinvest in that, but take my opinion with a pinch of salt. A lot of the Twins' best prospects are in double or triple A right now. So I was before the Twins, looks like they're actually going to win today. But when the Twins lost the series to the Rockies, before then, if you would have asked me, I'm okay trading Harrison Bader because Emmanuel Rodriguez, who is their best position prospect in AAA, has a much higher ceiling than Bader. Bader has a higher floor. So if the Twins are going to make a push, you can get rid of Bader, put Emmanuel Rodriguez's, and if he can just be a good major, that's an upgrade of hitting, you're actually selling and investing in the future, right? Well, because the Twins cannot have any nice things, Emmanuel Rodriguez went on the minor league injured list with a sprained oblique. So strained oblique. So there went that plan. So as things go. We'll see. And then with Ty France, I don't know, cut him, DFA him. They have a couple weeks ago I brought up Aaron Sabato as a failed first base prospect. He's actually in AAA and killing it. There's nothing that Aaron Sabato can't do that Ty France is doing much better. So I would get rid of him and just try Sabato for 3 months. Figure out who can be on this team next year.
Remember when Ty France was the best off-season acquisition? Remember when Ty France was killing it in the first 2 weeks?
Yeah. And I think his WAR has been at 0.3 since then.
I'm going to grasp at straws here real big time, but for Lee and Sam, who don't have a horse in the race, if you had to trade for one of these two individuals, who would you rather trade for, Carlos Santana or Ty France? Well, I know Eric's opinion.
Was his?
I would say Ty France only because he's younger.
I would go. I'm thinking go more Santana because he hits home runs. He hits for good power, decent power.
Right. I mean,
yeah, I think how much does Santana have left?
I mean, you could argue how much does Ty France have left.
Yeah, I think.
I'm just saying.
Santana's been more consistent this year. You know what he is. Ty France, you're not sure what you're going to get from him.
So here's Carlos Santana. This is he's 39. He has a below average OPS. Yes, but I think good defense, which I understand.
He walks a crap ton, and he's never going to age out of it.
Yeah.
Ty France. I don't know what Ty France does well, which sounds really hard. He's a first baseman who doesn't do home runs.
I could see, like I said, my comment about him in the first couple weeks. I could see France going on a tear over the course of 2 months more than I could Santana.
See, I would just trust Santana more because at least this year he's been a little more consistent. Ty France is just so much it seems like a lot of up and down with him.
I think
you're gonna get.
I think it's about the same. either way.
That's why I asked the question.
I agree.
In the first place. I was just kind of curious.
I feel like my answer would be more like, who would I trust more in a pinch hitting situation? Because I'm getting a 12th guy off. I'm getting a pinch hitter. Like, I'm thinking about the postseason for them.
Santana will give you a good at bat. Like I said, he walks a ton. He's not going to get himself out typically.
His on base is decent. It's like
Yeah.
what 330. That's not bad.
So we do actually have one other team that we need to talk about in the trade deadline. Believe it or not, the White Sox, they don't have a lot. Well, they do have a lot, but not a lot of quality. Michael A. Taylor, Luis Robert, Austin Slater, Andrew Benintendi, Mike Talkman. The pitchers, Tyler Alexander, Aaron Savali, Mike Clevenger, and then Hauser. I don't know what's going on with Luis Robert. I think they're going to trade him. I don't see why they wouldn't trade him.
I saw there was an article Athletic did that was like, oh, midseason MVP, Cy Young, and then LVP, and they called Luis Robert Jr. the LVP for the AL because his one job was to get traded this season, and he has done nothing to further that agenda.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to trade Benintendi without eating. I think he has 3 more years of contract, all over $15 million. They're going to have to eat a significant part of that, I think. Austin Slater, I think, is a decent trade. Michael A. Taylor, I think, is in the same category as Ty France, and maybe not. I think Carlos Santana is a little bit better than that, but in that range.
Now, though, okay.
Talkman's had a really nice year.
I think Savali is gone. I think Alexander's a good chance that he's gone too.
Yep. I put Mike Clevenger on here. I don't think he's actually on their major league. I think Adrian Hauser, gone. Like, there's no reason to keep him. I'll be honest, I haven't even heard of Adrian Hauser before 2 weeks ago when I looked up who their possible all-star might be. There's nothing to this team. And Luis Robert, what the hell happened? I think
he just doesn't care. I think a large part of it is that he just doesn't give a damn.
Yeah, I think the nicer way of saying it is he's not motivated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's semantics. Same thing.
I don't know why there would be, but if there's a book on this era of White Sox, I think it would be kind of fascinating just to see what the hell happened.
There's just so many stories that have come out of just the culture and what the organization has done, and you got Andrew Vaughn, who's now the Brewers' hero. It's hilarious. Because apparently he can hit now in Milwaukee. Apparently.
Which honestly, I think that's I know LOA had Jimenez for the Orioles last year had a little bit of a resurgence. I think he was just cut by the Rays last 2 weeks ago. I think he's just done. Another future Nippon Ham fighter, batting behind Jose Ramirez. No, Jose Miranda. Jose Ramirez will not be.
No. Although, if you want to see a guy have 15 WAR in a league,
that would be very fun.
Yeah. If Jose Ramirez plays for Nippon, something has gone very wrong.
Yeah. So, the Tigers. I don't know how much there is. I think it's more just, and we kind of talked about it. Who are they acquiring?
Yeah.
Bullpen or starting pitching?
We need a strikeout guy in the bullpen. We need 2 strikeout guys in the bullpen. We're 25th or something in strikeouts for our bullpen. We have a lot of guys who have been good, or have the potential to be really good, or whatever. If you got to figure out which version of them they are, because they've been kind of messy the past couple of weeks. But our bullpen, we need more swing and miss. We need a guy who can come in with the bases loaded and get 3 straight outs, no runs scored. Right? That should be the biggest priority. I would like another starter, maybe, but I'm also not going to be upset if it's still another starter.
Someone has background going on. 1 second. All right, it was Sam. All right, Sam's going to figure that out.
It's gone from Royals to drag racing, so I'm going to turn that off.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I don't know, like, what, maybe this is more open discussion because, like, I don't know, we can talk about specific players the Tigers might target, but, like, that's such a crapshoot. So, like,
It's all speculation. Most of the fandom wants Eugenio Suarez, and I would like Eugenio Suarez. I do not want that to be the only acquisition we make. I want pitching. I want bullpen. I want pitching now.
so if you're going to acquire, like, to me, like, the floor to acquire a starting pitcher is Jack Flaherty. If they're not better than Jack Flaherty, you're not bothering.
Yeah.
Who's that
Because-
in the bullpen? If they're not better than X, it's not worth it.
I would say Chase Lee. Chase Lee is a rookie. He's been pretty good for us. If I can see an argument for if they're not better than him, then why are we bothering? Because
Okay.
he's a young guy who has shown some success.
So you're looking at Will Vest, Tyler Holton, Chase Lee. Sawyer Gibson Long, kind of a swing guy, but those are your 7th, 8th, 9th. So you're looking for a 6th inning, probably 2 6th-inning guys, maybe a 7th-inning guy.
Yeah, I would say Sawyer Gibson Long. I don't know why he's kind of put in the bullpen, but he is a starter. He just doesn't go for very long. He's currently rehabbing in Toledo right now. Because apparently there's setbacks with that. It's a mess.
Okay, and then like you'll know this better than we will. Which of your starters could swap to a bullpen?
I would say I'm between Mize and Olsen for that, because
Really, with Mize? Why Mize?
because he has a problem with the home run ball, right? And
Well,
especially
you don't
like
want that in the bullpen, though.
no, but my point is, but it's more about like more times through an order, right?
Okay.
If you're worried about him giving up home runs, you don't want him going through a third time in the order. But if one time through the order, I'm not worried about that at all. But it's like but if it's the 7th inning and it's like the fourth batter in the lineup, and it's like I don't want to leave him in for that. But like 3 innings, I'm fine with. So he could be like a long middle relief, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I'm trying to find his splits versus times through the lineup, but no, I think that's fair.
Just kind of like what I've based on vibes, but he is very good. But it's just a matter of do we want him going in very long into a lineup?
So bullpen's the easiest thing to acquire. Starting pitcher's the hardest thing to acquire at the deadline. Sorry, most expensive thing to acquire. The position player is what? Right-handed, left-handed corner bat? Is that what you're looking for?
So, okay, I'm not sure what the organization is going to be looking for, but what have people want? I'm going to say what people want, and I'm going to say what I think the right move is, because that's 2 different things. People want a right-handed third baseman. Okay, and I see the argument for that because going into this season, we didn't have a third baseman, and we were worried about struggling against left-handed pitchers, and our right-handed bats weren't projected to do very well, right? That all makes sense. But, okay, you look at AL third baseman by WAR, right? 1, Jose Ramirez. 2, Alex Bregman. 3, Zach McKinstry. We do not desperately need a third baseman. I get the argument, upgrade to third base, you can move McKinstry to short or right or wherever. Okay? My point is we don't desperately need to fill that position. We can get just a bat who can get a DH.
I agree.
For all I care. Or get an outfielder because Parker Meadows and Matt Vierling have been really struggling since they came back. Get a shortstop because Javi can platoon or jump around between positions. Third base, a right-handed bat at third base is not the priority that people seem to think it is. That's my point.
I agree. I'd agree with that. I mean, especially like third base. You didn't even mention him playing, but Baez can play third.
Baez can
just said
play
McKinstry and Ken Perez. Is he a utility or he's outfield?
He's outfield.
Okay, never mind. Scratch that.
I knew we weren't gonna do the thing where we name players or whatever because it is just a guessing game, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I find it fun. Eugenio Suarez and Shelby Miller from Arizona, right-handed relief pitcher.
No, Shelby
9K
Miller.
per nine.
No. Not.
Why?
He was on the Tigers last year and he sucked.
Oh,
Do you know
well,
how
he's got
many
2 more
games-
K per 9 than Canley's got right now. So
Do you know how many games I watched this man blow last year? Okay, I do not want to see him on this team.
well, there we.
It's
I
awful.
appreciate the analysis. That's fine. I get it.
He gives up way too many home runs. It's not. There's a reason. No, you don't. We DFA'd him for Jackson Jobe 3 days before we clinched the playoffs. Okay, there's
He's pitching pretty well for Arizona, just for the record.
Yeah, he is. Really
Do you
well
know-
for Arizona. I don't know. I'd be interested. So, not
but
just
Eugenio
because-
Suarez, I would be down with that. That would be cool. That would
So we'll put the
also he
pressure
would be
on.
coming back because he was
All
good.
of us have talked about a prominent reliever in their bullpen. Lee, you pick one out of Duran, Jax, Clase, Estevez, Hunter Harvey, Danny Colom. You pick one. You can just pluck them.
One. Let me look up one of these guys because I want a high strikeout guy. Which one? Yeah, Griffin Jax. That's who I would pick.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know who I would pick. I mean, it'd be really hard to go against Class A, but Duran's also really fun too.
Class A would be good, but he's too similar in styles to all of our other relief pitchers. We need a guy we need a swing and miss guy. We need a guy who can come in, because a lot of our relievers are like ground ball pitchers or like they're fly ball pitchers or they induce bad contact or whatever. We don't have a lot of strikeout guys. We need strikeout guys. We need to get.
I think the Royals would ask too high a price.
Well, that's
Yeah,
they're gonna be the divisional tax.
Yeah.
So like the Tigers aren't getting any of them except for I'm talking myself into this. I think Chris Paddock on the Tigers would make a little bit of sense as like a really back
It would
end.
probably make a lot of sense. Yeah.
And I think you could acquire him. That would be palatable. I mean, give the Twins a Kill Badoo back. I think is probably what the level of player the Twins are getting for Paddock.
Sure. You can have him.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think anyone would be like, ooh, wahoo. It would probably be the reaction, but all right, I think that's enough. Any closing thoughts on the trade? We still have the draft to go over.
Yeah,
right.
Tigers have a lot of guys they could trade away. It'll be really interesting to see what they do here.
Yeah, I will just see whatever prospects they give up is really what it's going to come down to. So
Yeah.
let's talk some draft because that also happened over the weekend, and we're not going to see these players likely for 2-3 years or ever. So just thought it would be worth going over here. So we're going to start with the White Sox. They had the 10th pick, which I don't want to say just to keep piling on the White Sox, but when you are the literal worst team in history the year before and you've sucked for so long, they don't give you the number 1 pick. I don't feel that bad for you. With that said, Billy Carlson is who they picked. He is a shortstop because there were so many shortstops drafted in the first round. I think it was like 14 shortstops were drafted in the first round. He is a high school senior. He has a hit tool of 50, power 50, just a good overall player. Great arm, it looks like. Tremendous field. That his best tool is his field. I think it was between him and Merrick Houston for the Twins on who might be the best pure defensive shortstop. The White Sox selected Carlson. For their second pick, they got Jaden Fauske, another high school player. Looks like they may have been playing the cap game a little bit, but good overall player. No real tool that sticks out. He has a slightly above average run and hit, but he's 50s everywhere else. And then for their 79th pick, they took Kyle Lodis. I believe he's a college shortstop. Probably a fringe. Looks like a utility guy. Decent hit tool, decent run. Might be a major league shortstop. That's really about it for the White Sox. This draft wasn't very top heavy.
Good.
It was very like mid range prospects. It sounds like. But with that, we'll go on to the Guardians. So Dan, who did they take, and do you like them?
So my perception is that the Guardians took both literally and figuratively some big swings in this draft. I think that they didn't necessarily think there was a lot of top tier talent in this draft. As far as sure things, like you were saying, it wasn't very top heavy, but they tried to go for high ceiling type individuals. Um, the first prominent example of that is their first round pick, number 27 overall, outfielder Jace Lavalette from Texas A&M.
Great name.
He is a power hitting outfielder, completely bucking the trend of how the Guardians usually operate. And really,
Yep.
that's going to be a theme throughout the entirety of their draft. But power hitting outfielder, good speed, and like I said, high ceiling ability to
Yep.
really, pack a punch someday potentially. However, um, there is some heavy concern because he is a high swing and miss in the strike zone. Uh, it's like he had a 25% in college,
Ooh.
and
Yep.
he's very, very difficult to college player who struck out that often and was successful at the major league level. For reference, Aaron Judge had 1 year where he was above 20%, and that was the highest he ever
Yep.
was. Uh, but they're taking a risk there. He is also a pretty rangy outfielder. Probably end up in right, or left, but decent speed. Dean Curley is
Six
a
six
shortstop. He went,
6'6", 230 is a big boy. Like when you
oh
say
yeah,
big, this is
big dude,
this is a big man.
big dude, but moves pretty well for his size.
Well,
Um, Dean Turley, or sorry, Dean Curley is an infielder shortstop from Tennessee. He was taken 66 overall. And I think he's probably a future third baseman, if anything, at his size as well, 6'3", 218. Um, not incredible range. I think he ultimately ends up at third. He was kind of inconsistent, but again, a good hitter in terms of power, exit velo, those kind of things. And there's a question on if he'll be passive or if he really does have a good eye. Is he generated a lot of walks in college? Is that because he just feasted on college pitching, not being as control savvy, or is he really actually have a discerning eye? We're going to learn that as he gets through minor league ball, and that leaves us with Aaron Walton, who was taken number 66 overall. He's an outfielder from Arizona. And I have two quotes about Aaron Walton that one make me think he's the most interesting of the three, but also are just kind of interesting in and of themselves. D1baseball.com, which is a site that, analyzes college players. One of the writers, David Seifert, said, quote, I just think the world of this guy. He has tools. He's a Mike Trout looking dude that plays center field like Trout. He can throw, he can run, he's got power. He takes bat to ball. I mean, I don't know what else you're looking for. So we've got a ringing endorsement.
yeah, it is.
MLB.com. It's an intriguing profile with strength and athleticism. A team that thinks it can tease a little more consistency at the plate from Walton will take him on day 2 of the draft, perhaps seeing a Harrison Bader type career in the future. So on the one end, we've got Mike Trout. On the other end, we've got Harrison Bader, which, for all the positives we said about Bader in this podcast, they're all entirely true. But there is quite a window there between Mike Trout and Harrison
Yeah,
Bader.
there is.
More to come to see which one Aaron Walton turns into, or if he turns into either of them. Just to summarize the overall draft for the Guardians, surprisingly, lots of college hitters with power and mostly outfielders. Now, they have a need for outfielders that can drive the ball over the fence, but it's very out of character and it feels like a lot of gambles. So, their strength has always been drafting college pitchers. They didn't take one this year until the 6th round, Nelson Kiljo. And then they did back to back. They also took Will McCausland in the 7th. I'd be curious to see how they do given their track record with those two individuals. But like I said, I think a lot of big swings hoping to hit pay dirt, and time will tell.
They had in their first 10 picks, they had one high school pitcher. Looks like from Canada. Will Hines.
Yeah, and I've heard just a little bit. I've poked around. I've heard some positives on Hines. I don't have any specific details, but again, their bread and butter has been college pitching. It's interesting to see them take, a high school guy before a couple college guys.
Yeah.
Will Hines is a great comedian.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I've seen his stuff.
Not familiar.
There's a very good comedian named Will Hines.
Any other thoughts on Cleveland? Do you like it, or is it just
I guess
like
I should
all
address that,
crap?
shouldn't I? No, I am. I don't.
I
I
think
don't
that
see this
reaction
being a
says
very.
everything.
I don't see this being a very successful draft for
Yeah,
Cleveland. I don't. They. It's a completely logical one. They drafted for things they need. I have concerns about their ability to develop these players because of their track record of developing these type of players, and the fact that the players that they drafted have some considerable flaws. Again, Lavale's
right.
strikeout rate being a prime example. I will say I've fallen into a lot of intrigue with Aaron Walton doing the little bit of research I did. So I'm curious to see what he's about. But your first overall pick, I'm not super enamored with.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
I don't know. I do like that player type for Lavalette though. Like I don't like the big power, like 65 as a power tool. They don't give a lot of 65s. Like after
Mm.
60s, kind of like you see a
So
lot of those, but
one thing I'll admit it is he was getting some buzz last year for being
yeah,
first overall, and he didn't have a very good year. This was his junior year. He didn't have a very good year at Texas A&M. So I do think, again, I think they drafted for potential, which is what you're supposed to do.
right.
But like they really drafted for potential. They weren't like, oh, this guy is um, uh, a high ceiling guy. He's not.
Yeah.
He's a or I'm sorry, a high floor guy. He's not a high floor guy.
Mhm. All right, fair enough. Um, Kansas City next up. Sam, who do you like? What did they do? Who do you like? Do you like it?
Yeah, so top three picks, starting off with Seth Gamble, who
Sean.
is a high school shortstop, infielder slash outfielder from IMG Academy. Seems like a pretty good hitting utility player. He can play all over the place. Most prospects or most scouts that I've read see him as an outfielder, as a center fielder. He has a pretty good run tool, as well as that's where he spent most of his time during his career, was in the outfield. um, he seems like a pretty decent little player, all five tools in the 50s. So he was someone who was his ranking was higher than where they selected him. So
Yep.
I'm assuming there's something that they saw in him that they wanted, but seems like a decent little player. He's drawn Bryson Stott comparisons for
Oh
his
no.
draft profile, so that can be feast or famine with
Yeah.
that comparison right there. Um, but a guy who can play all over the place. Again, high school player, so we'll see what he develops into. Josh Hammond is a little bit of a similar player, two-way player from North Carolina. He both pitched and hit in high school. However, most scouts see him as a position player. He played a lot at shortstop, but they don't think that he's going to be a shortstop at the big league level. And so probably won't pitch, but he has a 65 arm. So that's a pretty good tool right there.
Yep.
And then he was actually selected. I didn't know this was a thing, but the Royals got this draft pick out
Thank
of
you.
player promotion incentive,
Yes.
which I didn't know what that was prior to this. But apparently, because Bobby Witt Jr. was second in the MVP last year, and he's a homegrown prospect and someone who they called up and he's technically pre-arbitration, even though they've already signed him.
Yep.
Because Bobby Witt Jr. finished second in MVP, they were able to select Josh Hammond with this player promotion incentive pick, which I didn't even know that was a thing.
See, I love that. And also,
Yeah.
if I'm Bobby Witt, like, does the GM thank me for that? Because that's a win for everyone. Does Bobby Witt now
Yeah,
get talk with Josh Hammond and like try to boost him up because he's the reason he's in the organization?
yeah,
They could end up
exactly.
playing next to each other someday.
That's fun.
Yeah, precisely. So,
Actually, they better. He's
um,
18. Bobby signed through what 2030 before the options start kicking in.
yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
something like that. So he'll be around for quite a bit while longer. And then I would say Michael Lombardi, a pitcher who out of Tulane, college pitcher. The Royals are wont to select college pitchers in the MLB draft. Seems like a pretty decent player. I really enjoy the first sentence of his scouting report, which I will read verbatim. It reads, Tulane used Lombardi as a center fielder, first baseman, and closer this spring to the frustration of scouts who wanted to see him who wanted to see more of him in extended outings on the mound. So I enjoy the fact that scouts are frustrated by the fact that he wasn't doing what they wanted him to be doing. Um, I think that the theme that we have for the Royals here in this draft is a lot of versatility. A couple of guys, Gamble, who can play all over the field, Hammond and Lombardi, both of who both pitched and
Nope.
Oh, he kicked off. He'll join back in a second. While he is off, the rest of their picks, he'll pop up here in a second. The rest of their picks, they took a lot of pitchers, it looks like. Lombardi, and then they went with Lampkin, Cameron Miller, so on and so forth.
Well, there's a guy born in the Netherlands. That's fun.
Yeah. Oh, like we're three teams in, and I don't know how many times we've seen it, but there has been really no plus tools. Everyone has been graded around a 50 or a 55, and the Royal, and there's been one like plus tool except for Lombardi has a curveball that's rated 65, and then the power for
Lavalette.
Lavalette. There you go. I know that's not true. The White Sox had a 70 grade, which is really great for a high school. Sam, you're on, but I don't think your microphone's connected. So whenever you, yep. Well, we can hear you kind of. All right, he'll figure those out. But yeah, just so far really blah. Like, Sam, I think what we might do, we might come back to you. I'll start talking about the Twins, and then we can always kick back to the Royals. So, the Twins, no real surprises. They're kind of keeping the trend. They took Merrick Houston in their first round. He was their 16th. It was 16th overall pick. What's interesting about him is they believe he could defensively play shortstop in the majors today. It was between him and who the White Sox picked with their first pick, Billy Carlson. Those were like the two shortstops that they thought were the best defensive players. He has not really hit at any time except for last year in college for Wake Forest, and it also turned. He had 15 home runs in 60 games. So if you just want to do the quick math in your head, if he plays 120 games in the majors, that would be 30 home runs, right? No. Apparently, Wakefield is notorious for being a very hitter-friendly, maybe Sacramento A's style ballpark. He hit 15 home runs of them. 13 of them were at home. So maybe take that with a pinch of salt. He's a low floor, or he's a high floor, maybe a low ceiling. We'll see. If he can just be a decent glove, he might be a starter. But he should be a starting shortstop if he makes it to the majors. He's good enough defensively. They took Riley Quick, which I think is just a great name. He's fun because he was actually a 4-star commit offensive lineman. He is 6'6", 255. He throws a 90. He has a sinker that goes to 98. He has a good slider and changeup, but no idea where the ball is going. He's pretty similar to another prospect that's in the Twin system already, Connor Prelip, who is also from Alabama, who also and also like Prelip, Quick had Tommy John 2 years ago, but was able to pitch last year. He came back faster than normal. Probably a bullpen arm. And if that's the case, he's 21. He could rise pretty fast throughout the minors, but I think they're going to start him off to pitch. The most interesting one, though, is Quentin Young. He is the nephew of Delman and Dimitri Young, former All-Star, former Tigers and Twin. A lot like Lavalette, he has a lot of swing and miss. It is a pure upside move. He can either be a multiple-time All-Star or he won't make it out of high A. He's a good athlete, runs well, big kid. He's 18 years old. He's 6'6" and 225. That's a big boy, a big in shape boy. Just toolsy. Maybe because they took Merrick Houston in the first round, they thought they can take a higher upside player with Quentin Young. But I think that's the pick that I'd be the most interested in. But we'll see. The rest, they did exactly what they did. They took, it doesn't show up on this screen here, but the Twins used 8 of their last 9 picks on college pitchers. Kind of like their formula. Overall, they took 8 position players and 13 pitchers. What's going to come of this draft class? I think Dan kind of took my talking point away from me. I wouldn't be surprised 5 years from now or 10 years from now if no one shows up. If no one shows up on this from this draft class, but we'll see. Sam, you're
I
back.
thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting
Go
that the
on.
Twins had taken back-to-back players from Elon University in the 8th and 9th round.
Yeah, that was funky.
Apparently, they're building a pipeline.
I didn't even notice that.
They got a scout who just lives in that area, so he went there all the time.
Oh, 100%. Well,
Hey, both these guys are pretty good.
that scout earned his bonus that day, or like he was probably Sean Johnson, who's their whatever. The guy that runs their draft was probably just sick of this one guy talking about him. So fine, we'll take them both. Shut up already. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this draft. Sam, did you have any thoughts on Kansas City's closing draft?
Fine. I
There
feel
you go.
fine about mediocre about the guys they selected. Sorry, I thought my computer was plugged in, but apparently it wasn't. And then it gave me a warning, a pop-up that said you might want to plug in your PC. And then approximately 5 seconds later, my PC died. So
Well,
Yeah, that's
welcome
how
back.
it goes.
Finally, Detroit. Lee, how you feeling?
Yeah, so these picks are pretty interesting. So I think I said when we talked about the draft before that Scott Harris hasn't been around long enough to figure out if he has like a trend. I think we found that trend for first round picks. It is high school left-hand contact bats, apparently. So Jordan Yost, he's pretty interesting. So he's 6 foot, 170 pounds now. Like entering high school, he was like 5'4" and 115 or something like that. So he's still growing. He's like he's described as a late bloomer. So he's very scrawny right now, but he's got room to build that muscle. What's interesting about him is when I say contact, I mean contact. He struck out exactly one time his senior year of high school. He knows exactly what it was. It was a check swing on a 2-strike count, and he's not convinced that it was actually went all the way around. He's in his entire 4-year high school career, he struck out a total of 10 times. So this is a guy who puts bat to ball very well. So he's going to be pretty interesting. The trend for this, especially the top half of the draft, seems to be like kind of taking a bit more risk, which is that the organization is in a position to do so with the MLB team doing so well, and our farm system is very well stocked. They can kind of take a little bit more risk. And Jordan Yost seems to be one of those guys who can be a high ceiling, low floor type of guys, right? So the power isn't really there, but he's got good fielding. He's got very good bat to ball skills. So we'll see what comes of him. I'm pretty excited about him. So he's described as late bloomer, which is fun. Michael Olivero is an interesting one. They drafted a catcher, and I don't really pay attention to he was slotted for whatever, but then they picked him at blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter most of the time, but it is interesting when there's this much of a difference. He was drafted 34th overall. He was slotted at 219.
Yep.
So when it is that big of a difference, it is pretty interesting. Like, okay, what did the Tigers see from him? And the big thing for him is they drafted him for his bat. So it's kind of a question mark on whether or not he'll stay at catcher. Saw a lot of reports that he could move to first, but also potentially in the outfield if his arm is strong enough for that. But they also liked his, I guess, baseball IQ. He was committed to Yale, so that tells you a little bit something.
Oh.
But they like they like his baseball IQ. They like he has good power. So this seems like another high ceiling, low floor type guys, right? And because they drafted him, this makes me very curious on if they're going to end up trading Josue Briseño or Theron Lorenzo, because those are two catcher / one baseman in Double-A right now. So maybe means nothing, but it is pretty interesting for that. And then Malachi Witherspoon, which 10 out of 10, S+ baseball name right there.
Good name.
He has a twin brother who was drafted in the first round, I think, by Boston, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Mason Witherspoon. Yeah, so this is another high risk, high reward kind of pick, it seems, because he has a really good his fastball can hit 99, but it's quoted as it lacks life and gets pounded because he doesn't locate it well. So his issue is location. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. He gets a lot of walks because he has good stuff, but he can't locate it very well. So he's got a low 80s curveball with depth, and scouts believe his tighter slider in the upper 80s will be his best option in the long run. And he can also apparently throw a decent changeup with fade, but doesn't have a lot of faith in it. But Tigers organization seems to be a changeup factory. That's where Reese Olson learned his changeup when he was traded here. Skubals worked on his changeup here. Few other guys was the two most prominent. So Witherspoon, he could end up tooling that changeup a little bit. So this is a guy who's got pure stuff, looks good, but location is a problem. So, but he sounds also the fact that he's got a twin brother who got drafted ahead of him will be a good motivator for him. So that's fun. So overall, I think. Go ahead.
Do you think that the Witherspoon brothers might be the future Naylor brothers?
God, let's hope not.
I was just going to mention about Witherspoon real quick. Maybe I'm hanging on to specific phrases too much, but his fastball lacks life. That's interesting to me because that suggests a lack of spin.
Yeah.
But he's got two really good breaking pitches, which I would think he probably spins very well. That's interesting to me. I wonder if I'm just kind of reading into that incorrectly or not, or they can teach him to spin that fastball as well.
Is that a new way to say he's a finesse pitcher? Is that all they're saying?
I'm not entirely sure on that.
I don't know.
Yeah, the big problem for him is his command. He has a lot of command issues. He walks a lot, doesn't strike out a lot. But that's something that he can, they can work with him in pro leagues, right?
Yeah.
He seems like a pretty interesting mix there. Of those three, I think I like Jordan Yost the most because I like the contact. He struck out 10 times his entire high school career. And the last 2 years, junior and senior year, he played like fall or baseball league or whatever. I don't know what they call it, but he didn't strike out in those leagues at all. So we're talking about a guy who, in the space of 2 calendar years, struck out 3 total times. So that's pretty interesting to me. I mean, that is something that could not translate to the pro league,
Right.
very well, but it's very interesting.
I mean, just looking at the
I would
draft.
say
Go ahead, Sam.
this might be the exact same thing that you're about to say, Eric. It's interesting to look at the fact that, again, slot is a bit of a crapshoot,
Yep.
but the top 3 guys that the Tigers drafted were slotted 50th,
219.
219, and 121, who were picked 24th, 34th, and 62nd.
Yeah, so they might have
So
just been going for.
clearly the Tigers see something in those guys.
Well, that was my first thought when I saw the pick was they must either really like Yost or they didn't have a second round pick before like that round 50, but they did. They picked Oliveto. They must have just really liked Yost, and he probably said, I need basically X amount of money in order to join the organization. So, like, they had to overslot. I think it's an underslot pick, but that was within his range, and they really liked him, would be my guess, but who knows?
Yeah, so because he rose to the prospect ranks really quickly, right?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't slotted to draft in the first 2 rounds until like really recently. I mean, I said late bloomer a few times. I mean late bloomer. Like he grew 2 inches like last year. So and he was also committed to play at Florida with his older brother. So like it might have been like if he got drafted in like the second round where he was more slotted, he wouldn't have gotten a bonus enough to pull him away from playing at Florida or whatever.
I want to look at the rest. I'm looking at the rest of their draft because I'm going to guess there's a lot of high school players here. No, not really. High school senior. It'll be interesting to see, like, of this, who gets over, like, who gets a significant amount because they're clearly saving money up here to sign players down here. But
yeah, it's also because now we're a good development organization, which feels really weird. So we're taking guys who, like, we can take risks on and develop them a little bit better because I guess we can do that now.
just, I want you to hold on to that clip on what you just said, and remember it 5 years from now. From when?
Yep, I'm sure you'll remember. Also, I want to shout out our 11th round pick. His name is River Hamilton because that's a fantastic name. He was slotted at 99th, and then we picked him 339.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a fantastic name.
that is a good name.
So
I still like Lavalette. Like, I think that's my favorite name, but Witherspoon's also pretty good too.
Malachi Witherspoon. It's fun.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the draft? All right, let's go over this. Well, do we have any news that we want to go over before we go over the schedule?
Now,
Nah.
Okay.
I got one thing,
Okay.
real quick. We talked about Stephen Kwan in the midst of our buyers and sellers, the All-Star game, etc. He's been day to day actually the last 3 days. He hasn't played since the break ended, so he's been battling a wrist injury. I don't even call it an injury. He's got a banged up wrist for a good portion of the year, and I think he's just getting a little bit of rest right now. It matters on the field. It matters regarding the trade deadline. So I think that was worthy of just mentioning right quick.
Actually, you know what we should mention? Luis Ortiz suspension got extended, and we talked about this in our Discord chat. Probably we're talking about it. I don't know. I think you can read whatever you would like out of the extension.
Yeah.
Dan, what are your thoughts on it? Then we can kind of go around with it.
I think that's exactly right. I think it's very hard to draw any conclusion. So we were told that there would be some sort of statement made after the All-Star break on Ortiz's status. The statement that was made was, we're extending his paid suspension through August 31st.
Yep.
You can view that as, oh, that's not a good sign that they didn't absolve him and we're not, moving on. But you could also say, oh, that means they didn't find a smoking gun, and it's going to be hard to prove that there was any wrongdoing on his part. So I think we're just kind of in a holding pattern, and that's the extent of it. We're in a holding pattern.
So I don't know. Like I understand this might sound foolish, and like I can understand why people are probably going to disagree with this, but I think if I am Luis Ortiz and I am innocent, and that is the big caveat, if I am innocent, I am going up to Tony Clark at the Players Association and saying, "Why am I not playing?" Like it is much more damaging to my career staying on this list than it is for. Yes, I'm getting paid. That's great, but this is going to cost me millions of dollars down the line. Get me on the field. And I know that's a tight spot for the Players Association to be in, but you're
I just think
representing the player.
I just think from the league's perspective, there is no way they could possibly entertain the idea of a guy that is under the guise of a gambling investigation being on the field participating in games. That's a non-starter in my opinion. And they are paying him, as you alluded to. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I hate corporate talk, but I'm doing it.
Sure.
Unfortunately, this is the best compromise that can come out of this current scenario is we're going to pay you, but we can't have you on the field. And I don't think the union can speak in good faith against that.
Oh, I think you can. You just go to an arbitrator. That's what the case would end up going. Now, would the deadline to get to the arbitrator go past the season? Probably.
Or August 31st, not even August 31st for
Right.
how long they're holding him out.
But I don't. This is again, if he's guilty, it's not going to matter. Like because we're never
Yeah.
going to see him again anyway. But I again, the players' union is there for the player. I
Mhm.
understand this is an incredibly difficult position for you to put you in, but if you haven't done anything, you should be playing. Because now this is something that is outside of his control. That's out of basically whoever the MLB investigators are in control. Until they find him guilty, I think he should be playing. If he's innocent.
Alternatively, I will say this. The commissioner's office works for the owners and for the teams. If it turns out that Luis Ortiz is innocent and he has not been able to participate in games for a month and a half and contribute to his team that is 4.5 games out of the wild card right now, or that is also a problem in that he could
Yeah,
have been helping them get into the playoffs through no fault of anybody's. He isn't able to do that. So
Yeah, I
that
think
that part goes both ways too, I guess, to take
like
that into consideration.
we talked about this before, but like, I mean, I know we're like Luis Ortiz was exactly lighting the world on fire, but imagine this happens to like a Max Fried or a Taylor Skubal or a Garrett Crochet. I mean, that's going to make a huge difference for any of those teams if a guy looks suspicious and then just can't play for a month and a half. I mean, you know, it's rough. It's a bad position for everyone involved, which is
yeah.
why gambling should never have been utilized in the first place. Plus, it's
This is
different.
this is the box that was opened in the first place when
Yeah.
this was legal. Granted, I think I said on the show when we talked about this before, you can make the argument that this was always happening, and now actually the leagues have the opportunity to better police because the sports books can raise issues and things like that. So
Yeah.
who knows?
And
But
like
Well,
personally, when I saw that his extension, the suspension was extension, I was like, well, that's not promising. That was my first reaction was that's not a good look, like
Yeah.
at all. And like it's not a good look at all. I don't know if that
ultimately,
means they can't. I don't
ultimately,
know.
what I think it means, if I had to guess, is that they're struggling to really, really connect clearly that he did something wrong, and they're having to
Yeah.
really investigate more, for lack of a better way of saying. Like it's not clear, so they need more time.
Yeah,
and
and
I
I
would
think
So they
say
want
that's
to make sure they get it
probably
right.
the worst case scenario for everyone
Right.
Yep.
is it not being clear. Because if it were, oh, he didn't do anything, or oh, he did, that would be a lot better than
Right.
having ambiguity for another 6 weeks.
yeah, I mean, because think about it, like how it's done in a court of law, right? It's proven beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not proven innocence. It's proof that you need enough evidence to convict, not enough evidence to prove innocent.
Yeah.
So it's there's three options, these three possible outcomes. There's proven guilty, there's proven innocent, and then there's can't prove that he did it, which
Right.
is the worst possible outcome for him if he is innocent. We're assuming that
Right. I. Oh, it sucks. It sucks for him. Again, this is assuming he didn't do it, and maybe I'm not trying to be naive because the pitches certainly look suspicious,
Especially the
especially the
second
second one. But I don't, and like it's not like, and we talked about it at the moment, it's gonna follow him around the rest of his career. I don't know. Like we'll see. But
We've talked enough about this. I think I'm in the mode of let me know when something happens.
yep. All right, let's talk about the schedules. I'm going to take it up to the trade deadline. Not sure when we're going to record next. Probably, I think everyone has an off day on the trade deadline, but probably be closer to maybe not this week, but probably on 30th. But we'll figure that out. The Tigers finishing up with the Rangers tonight, going to the Pirates, the Blue Jays for 4, and then the Diamondbacks, and then the trade deadline. The Guardians finishing up with the A's, playing Baltimore for 4, Kansas City, and then the Rockies, those red hot Rockies that are going to be really a good team, right? The Twins beat the Rockies, hip hip hooray. Now it's the Dodgers, the Nationals, and then the Red Sox, who I believe are in the wild card right now. The Royals, I believe, finished with the Marlins, at the Cubs versus the Guardians, and then at the Braves, who I think are probably going to be selling off pieces, so that's promising. Then the White Sox, Tampa Bay, the Cubs, and the Phillies. With all of that, we have one series to predict. It's Cleveland at Kansas City, and it's really a crapshoot. So, Lee, let's start with you.
3-game series, right? Let's make
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Give me Cleveland for this one.
Sam.
I'll let Dan go first.
Oh, punt.
Interesting.
All right.
Well, so usually I like to have something actually uh, useful prepared when I give a prediction. This week I'm going to say that if you may have noticed on that calendar there, Saturday night, the Royals Guardians game, there's going to be a Flo Rida concert afterward. Uh, the Guardians are going to stay out too late for the on Saturday night enjoying the Flo Rida concert, and they're going to lose the rubber match on Sunday, and the Royals are going to win the series.
I don't want to
That's
say
my
the Guardians are screwed, but yeah, you have Flo Rida Saturday night, and then let's not sleep on the 27th, the yacht pregame party. Like,
the Yacht Rock pregame.
Yeah,
I
That
mean,
is a
they're not going to be
fascinating
hungover.
24 hours of music right there. My prediction stands. I think the Royals take 2 or 3 in all seriousness.
Sam, or would you like to me to answer?
You know what? I think the Guardians are going to take 2 out of 3.
I mean, I think it's the Guardians too. Because I feel like the pieces that the Guardians are going to ship off are going to matter less than the pieces that the Royals are going to ship off or likely to ship off.
There could potentially be, and I'm speaking against my own prediction now, but there might be a literal a hangover there for the Royals, depending on what they trade off. And teams get a little deflated after you do that kind of thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Just for meme purposes, I want to have me picking the Guardians and Dan picking the Royals.
I like it.
Why not?
There you go.
Very Midwest of us.
Yeah, how polite of us. We have to boost up the other person more than we believe in ourselves. Look at us go. All right. Well, any closing thoughts?
No.
All right. Well, it should be an interesting next 3 series. We'll see who's even more depressed, and if the Tigers are still in a tailspin, maybe that'll be a topic, but that's not happening. So, whatever. Until next time, guys, thank you for listening.